I'm going to be talking to you about the bane of many high school students, standardized testing. So let's get started. So here are a couple acronyms that you're going to be getting comfortable with in the near future. So the SAT originally stood for Scholastic Aptitude Test. No longer stands for that anymore, just the SAT. And then the PSAT is the preliminary SAT. The ACT is the American College Test. They also did away with that. So it's just the ACT now. They followed SAT's path. And then AP is Advanced Placement. So I'll be starting with SAT. So there are two types of the SAT. There's the SAT 1, that's the one that you probably have heard of and know about. So the SAT is a baseline standardized test, and it's a requirement for most colleges. And it's basically a national standardizer. It helps colleges compare two students from different backgrounds. And then there's also the SAT 2. These are the SAT subject tests. There's a wide array of them. They range from topics in math, science, and languages. And then these show your knowledge and abilities in specific subject areas. Most colleges recommend you take 2 to 3 of them, and some colleges even require you to take them. So as I said before, the SAT is a national standardizer. So this is the purpose of the SAT. This is why colleges require you to take it or recommend that you take it. So let's take two fictional characters, Katniss Everdeen from the Hunger Games and Harry Potter from Harry Potter. And so these two students, they both have a 4.0 GPA. So colleges look at these two students, and just based on the GPA, you can't tell anything different between these two students. However, looking at their SAT scores, you're able to see that Katniss is a much better student than Harry. Harry got too focused on his magic, not enough on the SAT studying. So you might be wondering what you'll be tested on. The SAT is out of 2,400, and it's split into 3 sections, each worth 800 points. So the first section is critical reading, and this tests your knowledge of vocabulary, and there are extended passages that you're going to have to read through and find the tone, how the author used certain words in the passage to convey a certain point. There's also mathematics, and that is up to geometry. And most of the questions in mathematics are meant to be done relatively quicker. And then there's also writing. So writing, you start out the SAT with a 25-minute essay, and they'll typically give you a quote, and you have to either agree or disagree with the quote. And it's really based on your opinion. There's no really right answer to the essay. And then there's also various writing sections throughout the SAT in which you have to edit and correct sentences. And the SAT is 3 hours and 45 minutes, so it's very crucial that you practice before you take the test, because 4 hours is an extremely long time to continue testing and maintain that focus. For those of you freshmen and class of 2017 and below, you will not be taking the SAT that sophomores, juniors, and seniors will be taking. College Board just announced the new SAT. So those of you in class of 2016 and above, you'll still have to take the current SAT. So the test is 3 hours, and you get 50 minutes for the optional essay. However, I suspect that most colleges will require that you do write the essay, so you don't really get off on that one, unfortunately. And it'll now be out of 1,600, so that's reverting back to the old format that was changed in 2005. So there's 800 points for evidence-based writing and reading, and then there's 800 points for math. The vocabulary on this new SAT is supposed to be less difficult, vocabulary that you learn in school that you typically use in essays, not those random ones that you will never use in your life. And there's also evidence-based reading, so you'll have to write extended responses as to why you chose a specific answer. How did you find the author's tone in a passage? And then the SAT 2, these are all of the subjects that you can take. They're not always offered, but they're offered in, some of them are offered only in specific months, like Modern Hebrew is only offered I think in June. And so most colleges recommend that you take 2 to 3 subject tests, and you should take them in June after you take the subject. So if you're in honors chemistry, I would recommend that you take the SAT chemistry test in June, so the material is still fresh. So let's go to the PSAT. The PSAT is the preliminary SAT. It also has this other acronym at the end, the NMSQT. It's the National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. So by performing well on the PSAT, you can actually get money and scholarships. So the PSAT is similar to the SAT. It's shorter, it's only 2 hours and 10 minutes, and it's 5 sections instead of 10. There is no essay, and it's worth 240 points, so 10% of the SAT value. So there's 80 points for critical reading, 80 points for math, and 80 points for writing. And the PSAT, you can start taking it really as early as possible. You should, I started taking it in 9th grade because my school offered it. So I'd really recommend that you start, you sign up for it even in 9th grade. It doesn't count until 11th grade. That's the only year that you can actually send in your score to get the scholarship. That is your official score when you take it in 11th grade. And so the PSAT prepares you for the SAT, and you can, based on your performance, you can receive feedback and see what areas you're excelling in, what areas you need to work on, so you can perform really well on the SAT. And as I said before, the PSAT is also a National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test, and there are scholarships if you score above a certain score, and you can get like several $1,000s for doing well. And make sure to start early. Even those of you in middle school, you can try to sign up with your local high school. Some of them will allow you to take it. So let's go to the ACT. The ACT is basically the rival to the SAT. Colleges will typically accept either the SAT or the ACT. The ACT has 4 subjects that they average to get your final score. So there's English, math, science, and then there's an optional writing test, but most colleges require that writing test, so it's not really that optional. It's a little bit shorter than the SAT. It's 3 hours and 25 minutes, but if you're taking the writing test, that's another, I think, 25 minutes to that. So English is similar to the SAT. It's editing and correcting skills. There's reading comprehension. And then the math is a little bit tougher. It goes all the way up to trig. And then the science isn't really science. You're not going to be tested on like cell biology or anything like that. It's just like you'll get data tables, and you'll have to analyze the data and draw conclusions from the data. So which one should you take? The ACT is typically more straightforward. They don't have those random vocabulary. It's a little bit faster paced, however. There is a science section. If you're completely averse to science, you might not want to take this. And it's harder math, and it's more of a big picture exam since they do average out your scores. So if you're extremely good at math and science, that can help your maybe poor English skills. And the SAT puts a stronger emphasis on vocabulary. They'll do away with that in a little bit, and it's split into more sections, so it's a little bit slower paced. You'll be going from critical reading to math to writing back to critical reading. So if you're not comfortable with changing focus, it might be a little harder for you to take the SAT, because the ACT just has 1 section of math, 1 section of writing. Okay, let's go to AP. So AP stands for Advanced Placement. So many of the schools that you go to will probably offer AP classes. AP classes are college level coursework and they lead into AP tests. You get credit for most colleges offer credit for scoring a 3 or higher on the AP test. It's out of 5. And to get a 5, many AP tests you can get like a 70% on the exam. It's an extremely hard test, but it's curved accordingly. And to take the AP test, you do not necessarily